morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it may be. Welcome to A Link to the Past Randomizer League Season 3, Week 3. You are watching today here on Speed Gaming 2, a match between the 2019 Titans Mitts of 2019, we insist it's 2019, up against Error 216. So we got daaanty and BigDunka, two of the admins of different formats. Very excited to see how this turns out. I'm Udai, joined today by Freddie. Freddie, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, Udai. Excited to watch this match. Just a couple teams in my division, actually. I forgot they were in my division until I got here. I'm like, oh, I recognize these teams. And looking forward to seeing a couple of the top teams in this division, the Kakariko division, square off in this Week 3 match. We're going to have a lot of extra time at the start of this due to this being a standard standard casual boots seed. Casual boots means that we start with boots, we start with a sword, and we start with the escape sequence, which will be a little bit faster than we're used to.
Not a whole lot of formats in Randomizer these days that give you an opportunity to see the rain state anymore. And we'll actually rescue Princess Zelda really early on.
Indeed.
Well,
so who are you pulling for in this one?
It's so hard to say. I mean, like, I hear Dante's voice more often, but BigDunka kind of like, a mostly all-in-one admin for his own ladder. So I don't know. I can't really decide who I think is really the one I want to see the most. I do like Error 216 because it does have error.
Indeed. I'm going to go with Dunka on this one purely because he's using the Ultros sprite.
A valid reason as any to pull for one. We will see, of course, throughout the rest of this seed who ends up pulling out and being victorious. Interesting pug sprite out of daaanty. Perhaps he is a fan of Andy, as that it was a sprite originally made for Andy.
Indeed. Looks like we have some early flippers out of Link's house, and then just heart and arrows out of the rest. A fun little tidbit about the casual boots open here is that even though you don't technically have the sword until you talk to the uncle, you can dash through. You can't swipe it, but you can dash through bushes. I think Dunka did that on his side.
I'm sure that the lore reason for this is because, the rain state makes the bushes soggy, so they're a little bit, weaker, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, strong blue guards out of both of these, or key guards, out of both runners on their way down to Zelda's cell. I'm going to really get to see how much of an advantage it is to have boots throughout this escape sequence. Something that a lot of people don't really practice much, as boots escape is kind of rare outside of this specific mode.
Indeed. Takes a little bit of getting used to, too, as we're going to see from daaanty getting a couple bonks racked up there.
A nice spin slash strategy against the second key guard. daaanty getting a little bit of time back from BigDunka here. As we're making our way down to the ball and chain guards, see if they end up going with an 8-slash strategy. Also want to thank our tracker today, Ake here, for pushing the buttons and making sure we stay on top of things.
Indeed. We also had a early map check that I don't think we went over yet, but fortunately Ike here did check it, and we have a red crystal at Eastern, a blue crystal at Desert, and a pendant at Hera.
Pendant Hera, that's never a fun thing to go to, so that may impact how we approach the mountain. The other crystals, we're going to need some better equipment for that stuff.
Indeed.
So a little bit about these two teams. We've got a 12-point team and a 9-point team right now. So that's 4-0 for the 2019 Titans Mitts of 2019 and 3-1 for Error 216. This is kind of important for the division.
Yeah, this will be a big match for both of these teams. I know they're both pretty highly favored as well in the division. though I wouldn't call it an easy division by any means.
No, it's something of a division of death. Some of the best runners of the game, just stacked in this, division overall. Of course, all the divisions are very difficult. This Invitational League is just part of all of what was eligible to play in the league. We do, of course, have the Open League running in parallel for those who weren't able to make the Invitational itself. Cornucopia of snakes leading to 50 rupees here in the Dark Cross. We can buy bombs if we end up needing it later. We did actually find 3, and we won't need them here for the back of escape, as those boots allow us to bonk to preserve some. So we have the bombs that we need for Kakariko proper. Remains to be seen if we're going to find more than that.
Yep, fortunately, the bombs themselves are just a bonus, really. Since they have boots, they can easily bonk open the way up here.
Well, a whole lot of nothing back here. That shield could potentially be handy. There are some arrow guards out there. Really, until we get that second shield, it doesn't do a whole lot for us, though.
I find the best place that can be useful there is right before you go into Swamp. That one spear chucking guard.
Yeah, for all the enemies that are so easy to avoid here in Hyrule, that's really the one that you pretty much want to have a shield for.
Yep. Okay, and with that, 5 minutes or so in, we have made it through the escape and get rewarded with a bottle. So that saves a extra check from the sick kid in Kakariko.
So is that a situation where they flipped over the whole escape sequence and now they're on the B side?
Yes, definitely.
Hammer coming out of the Bonk Rocks, so we already have pretty much the most critical weapon early on. Hammer is one of those things that can just absolutely lock like half of the world when it comes to Dark World time. So a great find, nice to have early.
Indeed. And it looks like the Tier 2 tree pull is magic. Full magic, even. It'll make green rupees out of the bush grab.
Yeah, so no time spent there. Ooh, that is a bow.
Ooh. That's a kind of a scary item to see on there, because you actually can't be sure if that is required or not, or when it is. Because there's another bow out there, but it could just be in Ganon's tower.
So that's just exactly what you mean. It looks really scary to see, and there's also some mental math in these runners' minds. When will we reach the point where we're going to spend more than 5 minutes to try and find something out of all the dense locations? Because that's about how long you'd spend in the castle tower to get that bow.
Indeed. I think both of our runners bypassing a full heart in the mushroom spot up here. And finding a few more bombs as well. So let's see what we have in Stackariko today.
I think it's really funny that you say it that way, because there was quite a lot in Kakariko in another race earlier today in SG Prime. That I was able to
I believe it.
about. I don't know if we're going to see a full go mode, though.
Yeah, I feel like Kakariko has been stacked a lot lately. Could just be confirmation bias, though.
Well, I mean, there's only so much place to put real estate in the town, so eventually they just got to start building up.
Mm-hmm. Well, so far not much in Blindside, just a bunch of rupees.
Yeah, at least it pays out a little bit literally. We do have the money for the bottle vendor, as we did have 50 in the Dark Cross, but didn't have 100 by the time we left the escape, so that'll at least give us one more check, not have to worry about doing twice. And with our bottle currently, we are good to clear the whole village.
Okay, let's see what we got in the well. Just all kinds of rupees. Rupees of all colors and sizes.
Would it be fair at that point then to say that the well is cash flush?
Wait, I didn't get that one.
Because we're in the water, or at least the water source.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, okay. Also, powder means we can. That's actually a checkable thing with that full magic off the tree and hammer in hand.
Whoa. Yeah, that's a good point. How often do you get to see that in the first 10 minutes?
Not very. Yeah, this isn't Stackerico, as our tracker says. This is Bankerico.
Bankerico and Clearerico, because we're not going to be coming back here besides Village of Outcasts for quite some time, I think.
And we get the classic bottle for a bottle at Sick Kid. This time upgrading to a fairy. I did not see if that was a special bee or not, whatever the word is.
I kind of think it wasn't. But yeah, we'll
think it
still
was
want to find it
either.
out.
Yeah. Neither of them turned it in, so I'm guessing no. Also, we got a book out of there. The Tavern, which means now desert is accessible, though not finishable, without a glove or a fire source.
Well, speaking of...
Well, I see commentator curses are still a thing.
So, bushes of bucks, books, bottles, bees.
Battlestar Galactica.
Makes a lot of sense to me, at least. Bombs.
More bombs.
And I have to imagine a bonk, unless both of these two want to just check it manually. And yes, it will be bonks, because there is a Master Sword there.
Ooh. Dunka getting his map check out of the way, and both are going to go for that Master Sword for sure. We are now only a Moon Pearl away from Aga 1 access. And with that bow being on Lumberjack, it would not surprise me to see either runner go there sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and
That said...
it's a nice way to hedge your bet, because, I mean, even if you have to, save and quit and then go back to the Light World to get that bow, at least you know that when you find the Moon Pearl, you're going to be able to get to the Dark World. But still some things left to do in the Light World, so both of these two are going to take slightly divergent routes. It looks like Dante's going straight for Mini Moldorm Cave, and BigDunka might stop here at the dam first.
Yep. We'll see if Dunka goes to the dam and then heads over to Agina and Desert, or heads over to Ice Rod Cave and Mini Moldorm himself.
Yeah, you made a brief mention of it, but Desert mostly doable. We don't have a Power Glove to finish it, but you could potentially get every item out of there.
Indeed. And Dunka being just a little bit short on Zora money might... Well, looks like he'll have enough if he goes to Paradox, or not Paradox, Mini Moldorm Cave. And also another 100 in there, so Dante has enough for Zora as well. And with flippers in hand, that is full in logic.
You just gotta out-thieve the thief.
Yep.
So yeah, the handy thing here is that with the feed items equipped, the casual boots, we are able to make a water walk out of this Ice Rod Cave if they so choose to, making all of these water checks, and more importantly Zora, very fast. Indeed.
I believe we will likely see that from both of our runners here. We do have an early mushroom, which is interesting. If we don't find Moon Pearl from Zora area, I wouldn't be surprised to see a mushroom check soon after from both of our runners. Mostly because outside of Aga himself, we really only have Desert and Desert, Hobo, which it looks like Dante's doing Hobo, and then Eastern to go. And Tazrawa.
This feels pretty smart. I mean, like, when you find a lamp on the magic bat that was accessible to you pretty quickly, you're going to make sure you go do the thing that the flippers allow you to do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, it's a good investment at minimum.
Well, stealing Hobo's fortune apparently today.
I mean, maybe he lives under a bridge so he can have that much money.
It's fair. He's probably saving a lot of money on rent.
Yeah, I got to imagine as Kakariko is turning into Stackarico these days, property values on the rise and buildings on the rise. So, yeah, you got to find your ways to save money somehow.
Indeed. Looks like Dunka accidentally clipping a little corner there, so wasn't able to get the full dash up to Hobo. We have a Cane of Samaria in Waterfall Cave. And another ferry.
So that marks 2 safeties that our runners will have access to. I got to think BigDunka probably ends up grabbing a ferry as well out of that.
Yeah, with Quick Swap, it's practically free. Yep. That looked like a mail upgrade.
Yeah, so our safeties are kind of just adding up. This could end up being one of those situations where they're going to really skip like any available hearts that they can see standing in the free world.
We might see at least one of our runners go get that blue mail.
Won't be daaanty today, perhaps fearing the BigDunka, trying to avoid giving up any time.
Yeah.
I'm actually a little surprised by that for how good of a safety, armor is.
Yeah, it's a bit of a time gain to get it, and you can always just hope you find the other one. Both of these runners are skilled enough that I would imagine they can finish with green mail.
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of a preferential choice. daaanty looking for more progression at the moment. Going to turn in that mushroom that we were talking about.
Yep. Tends, when you find mushroom this early, it tends to lead to something useful.
And hey, if nothing else, at least he's going to buy the potion. So the 5 rupees left behind for now, but we've seen a lot of important mushroom checks lately, so good to have that one out of sight, out of mind. As BigDunka going to pick up that blue mail.
Yep. Told you one of them might. That's a good play, though, grabbing the blue potion out of that shop, because without a mirror, you are likely to want to do a death warp out of something like pod later on, so you might lose that fairy anyway. And having a blue potion is also nice when you don't have half magic. Looks like we're seeing our first divergence here, though. daaanty doing the dam check into likely desert area, while Dunka is heading to eastern, or at the very least Sahasrara.
Yeah, interesting choices from both runners. Heading in this direction, wow, another bee bottle and a moon pearl. Heading in these directions give possibilities of doing things that aren't completable. So it looks like BigDunka's definitely paid out first.
Indeed, yeah, definitely. Finding that moon pearl means he now has the choice to go rush Aga Tower for that bow. Looks like he's going to go down to desert first, though.
Probably it looks like the mushroom.
Oh, mushroom. Yep, good call.
It's such an infrequently used portal that, yeah, I mean, that would be a safe assumption to make. Then again, it would be one of those plays that you make against your opponent, hoping that they're not going to bother going to desert yet, if you were to go and follow up going to desert after this.
I could see it. They are technically only a glove from Dark World as well, and you never know if you'll find another bow somewhere else. It's really, honestly, a decent call to make either way. You just have to make a decision and commit to it.
So we are going to the right half of desert in order to get that big key, and whatever items we can fish out of here. It's kind of looking like one of those scenarios where I think our runners are going to do what they can here in desert, and then they'll have to kind of leave right after they finish Aghanim. Ooh, a cape. In order to, get that bow before going to pod.
Indeed. That kit gives even more Aga access. It'll be interesting to see if either of our runners actually go into Eastern before Aga 1 here, with that bow being on Lumberjack.
Yeah, daaanty having figured out pretty much all the information from Desert, going to head over to Agina's cave, where we see that BigDunka is going to find the Tempered Sword there first.
Yep. Gonna head back to Desert and do the same checks for the cape, it looks like. While daaanty, I would imagine, is heading over to Sahasrara here.
Good old Sharky Shark having something, even if it's not an item we need, at least the information about a green pendant, which we have not figured out just yet. This would be daaanty's probably first time seeing the Dark World map once we've climbed the tower.
Indeed. Looks like daaanty is going to go straight there, and having Tempered is nice for that compared to Master Sword.
Yeah, that's just a great feeling. The bad news for daaanty here is it's definitely going to take a trip over to the eastern area just to be able to get that Moon Pearl. So he'll have to kind of like save and quit after the tower. There's no chance of finding a mirror to make that efficient.
Indeed. Well, there is one chance of the mirror being on Pyramid itself.
All right. Yeah, so I mean, there will be one exotic scenario where daaanty, if finding a mirror on the pyramid, might actually consider continuing as the bunny sprite.
Stranger things have happened.
It would also be kind of hard to have the presence of mind for any runner to consider doing that, because like that is a really weird fringe scenario.
That said, because of where the bow is, it is very possible that this is actually a overall time save, because he will get the bow and then head over to Eastern with the bow, while BigDunka is still going to want to get the bow before going to pod anyway, because he can full clear it once he gets there. So having to save and quit and have that extra trip to the pyramid is really not that big of a deal for daaanty.
So at this point, I think the question of who's going to spend or save the most amount of time doing that combo between the two dungeons is probably going to come down to where we end up finding that power glove.
Yep, power glove or mirror.
Yeah, as both would allow you to combo them together.
Yeah, I think the only way Dunka comes out on this ahead is if mirror happens to be in pod.
And that would be a great feeling, because honestly, who likes to do Palace of Darkness without the mirror?
Indeed. No one, honestly, especially when there's all these free fairies. Though there are some pod layouts where it's not too bad of a deal, because you can, if you get like a right side big key for example, you can just go straight to Helmasaur, and then save and quit out of the back.
I feel like that's something I got to incorporate in my routing, because that honestly sounds way nicer on paper than anything I ever do without the mirror.
Pod's difficult. Also, hope you've been counting blue balls, because I haven't been.
I believe that's 2. At minimum 2. For those of you who are a little less familiar with how the wizard of the castle tower works, basically operates on a whole lot of coin flips. He has a 50-50 chance of doing a blue ball attack or the reflectable, I don't want to call that like a yellow ball attack or red ball attack, energy ball attack. For the second, third, and fourth of his his cycle, the first attack's a guaranteed electric ball attack, and the fifth one's always lightning.
We've had a lot of blue balls here.
For how long we're waiting on this fight, yeah, definitely.
Looks like 4. 4, I think, would be the count if that's the last one.
Well, he's going to bounce his way into the dark world, and that is a heck of a bunny spray. It's been a while since I've seen Freddy. I'm just going to reflect on all the things we've said so far. Which is good grief.
Sorry. Anyway, like I said, if the mirror is on the pyramid, he's actually going to get the bow first anyway, so it's actually not that big of a boost. But
It is a funny thing for us to see from our perspective.
yes, for reasons. Interestingly, I guess save quit would be faster than running from the castle here in this case, wouldn't it?
Yeah, just the situation that he was in with where he chose the mirror from, as that's not really a common place that you use the mirror.
Actually, an interesting play here could have been, we'll see if Dunka does it, as he could have actually taken the hammer and done Hype Cave, Cave 45, and Dig Game and such, and then just mirrored and run up through Kakariko for the bow. Dante didn't have that option since he didn't have a Moon Pearl, but... And we are getting a map check as well. Looks like Green Pendant Pod, because why not? And then Pendant Thieves Down. I did not see what the other 5-6 was.
I believe it was Ice Palace, so we are getting most of our information here pretty much. And a lot of configurations that players don't like.
Indeed. So Dunka did switch to the hammer here. And he is indeed going to make the play down to Hype Cave.
Barring a item dash disaster on the bridge.
Well, yeah. Well, sometimes it doesn't work.
Yeah, you do have to hit it frame perfect.
Yeah, we'll have to see if this turns out to be anything, because this could be a big divergence here. Especially with Pendant Pod being a thing. You got our 4th bottle. Fire Rod. Okay, so that's not nothing.
Safety, literal value, Fire Rod, that's not bad.
Oh yeah, chat pointed out Bombo's tablet is also available here. So it looks like Dunka is not going to go for that. It is a bit out of the way, especially with no glove.
It's one of those things that you kind of want to dovetail with Swamp Palace, and if we ignore the fact that Hookshot, is the one thing we would need to finish it at this point of the race, you could go in.
That's a fair point. That is a potential thing you could do right now.
But I think it's wise to make your way west. We do not have any gloves to work with, so this is going to be a route that terminates in the dig game, or potentially heading back up to the Village of Outcasts portal if we do find a glove along the way.
Yeah, one more check for that glove in the dig game here. Like I said, we'll probably... Actually, it might still be faster to save and quit. I'm not sure what would be faster, actually.
Because I think in this scenario, you try to go to the Hyrule Castle portal, right?
Well, he needs to go get his bow out of Lumberjack for Butter Sword. So we have all 4 swords and all 4 bottles already. And no gloves.
I feel like there's something to be said about the mathematics of this likelihood. Seems kind of like a long shot. We still do not have that hook shot, though.
Indeed. So it looks like Dunka is going to indeed dash up. Save and quit is probably faster here, but it's actually a really tough call, so... I can't... I'm sitting here commentating and just watching and not playing, and I'm not sure which way is faster.
Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said about having the option to, quick swap to Mirror and Sanctuary, and I don't even know if that's faster than dashing, even.
I think it's roughly the same, but you get full health out of it.
Yeah, so minor difference overall. BigDunka will be getting the bow.
And then is leaving. Where is he going now?
Gonna make a check, I think.
Oh. He is. Currently, I think a glove actually makes... Oh, no, we don't have a mirror. Oh, no, we have a mirror. It's not marked. Yeah, a glove would actually make pedestal available. So, this isn't a bad
Wow.
call.
That's so gross, too, because you can do almost all of this without that glove.
Indeed. Looks like a negative, though. I don't think we've seen anything out of Eastern yet, either.
Yeah, quite barren so far. But at least, the bare minimum, we will end up with a crystal out of this. Half an hour in, the first crystal of the race.
Indeed. Not the first dungeon, though. We've done a couple of those. Well, I don't know, do you count escape as a dungeon?
I mean, it has a map, has a big key, has small keys. A hotly
Okay,
debated
so...
topic.
You're not wrong. Aga Tower is definitely a dungeon. But is Hyrule Castle a different dungeon, or is it the same dungeon as Aga Tower? These are questions I don't know. Anyway, the answer to it, I should say. So it looks like Dunka is indeed heading to Pod, which, with mirror in hand, makes perfect sense. And there was actually nothing in Eastern itself, so we'll have to see what Pod turns up.
And the tough part is, like a competitive runner in this situation, is there's not a lot of time saved to be had with Eastern, so we won't see a huge advantage leveraged one way or the other when it comes to combining these two dungeons. However, daaanty will have the ability to at least, kind of mirror right in there, but isn't going to head over there first, so it depends, I guess, on how he gets over there.
Yeah, he's going to make this same loop from Hype Cave over to Dig Game, I imagine. We'll see if he loops in any of Swamp or Bombos Tablet, though. That would be an interesting call to make, considering your other real choice at this point is Pendant Pod.
Yeah, lacking the power glove or a hook shot, we don't really have a way to get up to the west side of the Dark World. With that fire rod being found in Hype Cave, you kind of want to go to like Skull Woods or something, but no, it's not on the table yet.
Looks like we are getting a Bombos Tablet check. So this could be huge if this is something, because Dunka skipped it when he had the opportunity earlier.
Has to cycle through his 4 bottles to get to that book.
Last it is just a piece of heart, bringing him up to 7.
Yeah, I think the best part about this 4-bottle scenario is we had like bees in almost all of them.
Indeed. We got a blue, a fairy, and 2 bees. Yeah, this is the main reason why Dunka didn't decide to go for Bombos Tablet, because the necessity of having to go all the way back around due to not having a glove.
Yeah, with a glove, it hurts a lot less. You got that rock that you can pick up, nice and smooth.
Yeah.
And so far, Palace of Darkness, not really turning up for much.
We've gotten 1 item, I think, or maybe 2. I think the other one might have been a compass or map.
Being that we do have the mirror, I expect we'll bomb open the big key chest, not big key chest, the big chest wall, but I doubt we're doing a hammer jump here.
There's the hook shot. Okay. So the expected item in Pod is indeed the item we find. That means Swamp Palace is now completely open.
Yeah, so I guess it remains to be seen if Big Dunka is going to choose to use that hook shot to go for another dungeon or take the extension across the west side of the Dark World.
That is the other option, indeed. He does know that the pedestal is nothing, so I'm curious if he is going to actually kill Helma. It is the green pendant, so there will be an item guaranteed from that kill. We're not sure whether there'll be 1 or 2, though. And it is a bit of a time investment for potentially nothing.
Just like how bad it feels to go through this dark maze. Now, thankfully, if you wanted to, well, actually, unfortunately, if you wanted to do a death warp, there's still fairy in the bottle. 2 of them, I think.
I do have the mirror, though, so not a big deal. Ooh.
If you want to
Definitely
avoid time loss.
Yeah. It looks like there is 2 items on Helmasaur. And we are going to see it from Dunka here. Meanwhile, daaanty is following into Pod. So he'll be doing the similar checks. We'll see if he also does Helma, while Dunka will for sure be doing Eastern after this as well.
Smart use of the Cane of Samaria here for Big Dunka to hit that crystal switch. I'm going to use another one actually on the next one. Will not have the sword beams to make the rooms a little more efficient in the back half. Thankfully, with Quick Swap, somewhat of a moot point.
Indeed.
Back in my day, we had to plan around these things to, avoid menus. Grabs cane. I don't know. Do you have strong feelings, Freddie, on Quick Swap in competitive play?
I'm generally pretty pro Quick Swap. I think it opens up more avenues of skill expression than it removes.
Yeah, I feel the same way. It's nice to see the skill ceiling continue to increase.
But yeah, it definitely takes some getting used to for if anyone hasn't done it too much. Something back in my day, I used to do simple cross-world randomizers with Quick Swap in tournaments.
Right when it was first around in competitive play to begin with at all.
Yeah, the good old days. Like, oh man, that was like 2 years ago now. Ugh.
Back in my day, they didn't even shuffle the crystals and pendants.
Ooh, daaanty getting bonked around by the hard hat beetles here. And silvers on Helmasaur. So this trip to Helmasaur pretty much paying off its worth. Well, maybe not quite. I think silvers isn't quite worth it, but it does confirm that the Aga trip was required.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't feel good to, for that to be the bow-locked bow. But at least they know, hey, that play was something I needed to do. I'm not losing any time over my opponent. And it does actually save some time in the Armos fight, so Big Dunka going to get at least a little bit of something out of that. Kind of interesting as a consequence that the arrow counts are going to be different because of where those silvers will be found.
Yeah, not likely to be a issue since we're not looking to go to Mire anytime soon, but... And that's generally where the only other place left that you'll use a significant amount of arrows. And we'll probably find some in a chest somewhere. Or a drop.
Yeah, I would argue that's definitely going to happen.
But, good to pay attention to, I agree.
Alrighty, well, some crossed wires, crossed paths. Looking at the rest of the seed, we've just acquired our hookshot, progressively speaking. What do you think here? I mean, Freddie, do you do the swamp play? Do you cross over the river? And what do you think's the stronger option?
With the fire rod in hand, I feel like going up and doing Skull Woods is better here. Since you can also do things like King's Tomb and Bumper Lake. Like you can do the entire North Dark World on the way over as well. minus Catfish. So that would be my plan, but Swamp is also potentially a good option here.
Yeah, it does help for Swamp, to be considered. Since we have the Cane of Samaria, the Diver Down stuff's available, and that does improve the stock of that choice.
Yeah. It looks like daaanty is also going to be making the play into Helmasaur. We'll be rewarded with a green pendant, which we do not know the reward yet, as well as silvers.
All right, well, this is the second time in Palace of Darkness that daaanty has run out of arrows. Thankfully, the game does provide them when you need them.
Indeed.
So something worth pointing out here about this race today. daaanty's team, the 2019 Titans Mitts of 2019, is one of only 2 remaining teams in the Invitational league that is actually still undefeated. So this is kind of an interesting matchup between them and Era 216, who only have 1 loss so far in the season.
Yeah, if someone were going to dethrone that undefeated record, it would be someone from this team, I would say, for sure.
And BigDunka's already won a match, so definitely on fire himself.
Indeed. So it looks like we are going to be very close to synchronized after this. daaanty working on Helmasaur, while BigDunka has just slightly, has already finished Eastern. So I guess the answer to our question of which way is it more efficient is checking Sahasrara first.
Yeah, that is the nice advantage to the layout that we have here, is that without mirror on the pyramid, this is a super easy check to make.
Mm-hmm. And you'll see Dunka actually coming here with the in mirroring instead of just leaving from Eastern and doing it, so he can be in the Dark World for quick save and quick back to pyramid. Though actually he might just run out, because I'm actually not sure which way would be faster in this case either. Probably save and quitting again, but
yeah, it's still pretty close either way, and thankfully, you're kind of in that neck of the woods.
Yeah. This doesn't really tell me which way he's going to go either, because this is hard to call. So it looks like he is going to go over to North Dark World here. So gonna pretty much isolate Catfish, but at this point it's kind of hard not to. And since you do have the save and quit to pyramid, it's not too bad of a check to leave. But it's still not likely that we'll see it for a while.
It just reoccurred to me that we still don't have that glove.
No, we don't.
Well, it makes this graveyard check really painful normally. Just having to walk around stuff.
Yeah, fortunately with boots, it's not as bad. daaanty also forgetting that there's no glove. I find a lot of runners, myself included, are not used to not having glove this far into a seed and will attempt to do glove things that they're used to.
Here's your endgame equipment, butter sword, silver arrows. Also, you can't lift things.
4 bottles, butter sword, yeah, silvers. It's fine, don't need anything. Talking about endgame, I suppose we could start talking about what we need for go mode here. Which is actually more considerable now that I think about it, but we do need both gloves, we do need a flute, and we do need an ice rod, as well as at least 1 medallion. So
yeah, but I mean, still somewhat of a short list. We could be looking for quite a lot more at this point.
Indeed.
Definitely feels comfortable for combat right now.
I believe Dunka actually didn't check the bumper ledge here, which is an interesting call. It could be that he's planning on heading to Village of Outcasts after this anyway, which wouldn't surprise me. You don't really have another way to get there, and I'll just check it after Skullwoods, but hopefully he doesn't forget about it.
Yeah, having a cape in hand, that is kind of surprising to see. Well, Has Fire Rod can do all of Skullwoods here in one fell swoop.
Okay, well, just a piece of heart. So if he does forget about it, he won't be missing anything, but he might waste time on it later.
On to the spookier version of the Lost Woods. Both runners kind of, hand in hand here. Looks like BigDunka's going to go straight to the back. This is kind of a conventional approach to Skullwoods when you know you have to complete it, as you will have more keys to work with on your way back.
Yeah, since you already have Fire Rod here as well, this is the probably the better way of doing it since you're planning on leaving after. Talking about medallions, there is Bombos in the front, so we do know he'll have to backtrack to the front at some point. But since you're doing this first, you may not have to check the entirety of the front for items, which can take extra time. It looks like that will be the case for him here. And since you're already planning on leaving to check Village of Outcasts anyway, you're not wasting the time by having to go from the back to the front again.
And some smart heads-up usage of the... They're wall masters, right? Or are they floor masters?
Wallmaster? Wallmaster.
Yeah, some of the naming conventions in this series have not been consistent forever. But yeah, so we are pulled back to the entrance with that, which is kind of handy, so to speak.
I do not see what dropped, but I think it was an item. Or I think it had to be an item, because I think compass and map were both in the front.
It looked like junk to me.
Oh, it was the map. Okay, so the other item is on Big Key then? Oh yeah, daaanty has 3 keys, so yeah, another item must be on the big chest. So Dunka will be able to quickly check the big chest, get his key from right side, and get that Bombos medallion here. We'll have to see what this other item is.
Meanwhile, daaanty getting all the magic to work with. Probably doesn't need it with that butter sword. Gold sword,
Yeah.
not intended in the original release.
Bugnet being the other item here, okay.
I guess that's apt, seeing as the boss is kind of a bug.
Ooh, daaanty taking a death here. And by a death, I mean using a fairy real quick.
Fairy revival in this boss fight can be kind of scary, though. The spikes are still in motion. The whole fight just kind of continues as is, and it's very easy to take a repeat death. Thankfully, daaanty is able to kind of get on top of things, not letting these sword beams interfere with his boss kill.
Yep. And we see Dunka indeed not forgetting to check bumper ledge here, so we are still very much decently synced. Dunka taking a little bit more efficient of a route through Skullwoods by going to the back first, which, while not a ton in the grand scheme of things, every little bit counts again in these matches against top-level players.
Alright, well here's the Village of Outcasts for BigDunka, going to be the first one to strike into the alternative version of Kakariko, I suppose. And going to head directly into the remaining checks. I thought for a moment there he was opening the door to Thieves Town for the sake of going in. I guess that was the more efficient time to pop open the quirk.
Yeah, some runners like to do that. Just pop it open and then continue on their route through Dark World, planning to come back later. And there's Ethers, so that's 2 medallions, so we're less likely to need medallions at this point. But also at this point, the only 2 dungeons we have left are Thieves Town and Swamp. And we still do not have a glove. We still have a glove.
I missed it on my side. That was in Thieves Town, wasn't it?
Yep, first chest of Thieves Town, literally as I said it.
Well, kind
Which
of
is now the third time.
Gross state of affairs to have to go all the way around the Dark World to get to this.
Yeah, not necessarily uncommon, but the hookshot being in Pendant Pod was definitely made it rougher. With the bow being on pedestal or the lumberjack, so you had to make an extra trip around.
It would be an interesting turn of events if we found our other glove in Swamp, as that could have maybe changed the way that we approached some of these checks.
Indeed. And with glove in hand, Dunka is piecing out and heading to somewhere. Where is he going?
To carry out the rest of the seed.
Oh, I think he's going back to Catfish? Oh no, he's going to the mountain. That makes sense.
That would be quite the bold play, though. Like, I get the glove. Suddenly, the logical Catfish is the first thing.
Yeah, that's obviously the play, right?
How many scenarios call for that, though, you know?
More than I'd like.
Yeah, I think it's a fair assessment.
Yeah. We'll have to see if daaanty decides to finish Thieves Town after finding that glove. Because I think they only got the one item out of the front.
Yeah, it was pretty barren otherwise. So, and then that's the hard part too, is like when you have an opportunity to do Pendant Thieves Town, knowing that the pedestal is empty, this would be the decision that you would make, thinking, "Hey, my opponent's definitely not going to do this."
Yep. Bonk rocks, please. Oh, there were two items in the front. Okay. That means we'll probably see daaanty leave too. Yeah. Okay, the next question is daaanty going to head down to Swamp after this, or is he going to also head to the mountain?
Yeah, I mean, the mountain definitely feels like the density choice. You know, the one thing that feels bad is having to cycle through 4 bottles again to get to this book, but it should be the last time we need to do it.
Yeah, and with the glove being the latest progression, that is definitely something that will make the most sense versus Swamp being something you already had access to. And indeed, it looks like daaanty is going to head to Swamp, though. So this is probably our first major deviation, but trying to think of a better word for that.
No, it is a derivation. There's only so many things left.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's a good point, though, because I think you make this decision, you know, to try to make the mountain a one-time thing.
Yeah, it makes sense. If mitts are in, like you said, if mitts are in there, then it's an easy one check. And for Dunka, though, checking up here is just checking some extra stuff on the way to... and then he'll just go do Swamp next because he knows it has to be there. It'll make his left side choice a lot easier.
Alrighty, well, still a few things out there that we still haven't accounted for. Ice Rod, of course, we aren't sure about our medallion requirements, and that other glove being a thing. And I guess there's a flute we're going to need.
Indeed. Moldorm being a bit of a jerk. So far, I think we've only got red mail out of Harris, so we're hoping this is... And it's not.
You gotta love to see the dodge of the dungeon prize. Yeah, it's just a massive disrespect to a disrespectful boss.
Yep. So yeah, once again, he didn't need to grab the pendant since we know that, or they, both of our runners know that pedestal is not required. So
I gotta wonder though, Who's the real final boss of like Light World Death Mountain? Moldorm or Dead Rocks?
Dead Rocks.
They also determine your route for you. BigDunka looking to go to Spiral Cave instead of continuing on to the to head over to the rest of the right side.
Indeed. Yeah, just checking that floating island real quick. And nothing in Spiral Cave and nothing in Swamp yet.
Well, some creative use of Diver Down and a bomb in the previous room allows us to delay the explosion, hit a switch from as soon as we grab that key, and we're going to get the left side in much smoother fashion.
Yeah, it looks like Dunka did the common mistake of running into the wrong door on the way to Paradox Cave here. Would be lying if I said I haven't done that way too many times myself. Okay, what is on left side swamp? The mitts. So the correct call was indeed heading to swamp first. However, we did get the flute up on Paradox.
Kind of an interesting turn of events. Yes, the boots surrogate.
The boots surrogate. Yeah, because because this is a starting with boots seed, there will be a chest that is replaced with a green 20 rupee, and that is kind of what's been designated the boots surrogate chest. So flute actually doesn't open up much for Dunka right away without those mitts, so we will likely see him heading to swamp next anyway. And by not much, I mean I don't think it opens up a single thing.
No. Besides being able to get there quickly, or get to places quickly, it does enable us to not save and quit much.
However, daaanty may decide to not go up the mountain for a bit, hoping to find the flute in something like Ice Palace or Pyramid Fairy even, since that is now available to him.
That's a great point to pick out there, is that, you know, that may result in a lot more item checks for daaanty.
Yeah, and with that flute location, the Mire is looking like a very auspicious spot for some items, some of our items like Ice Rod or I guess Ice Rod's our only thing left, outside of possibly the Turtle Rock Medallion.
Yeah, and because of how stingy this seed was with the capacity for lifting, it's probably going to be a while before we even get a check to see what that medallion requirement is.
Indeed.
But daaanty might be the one to point it out to us.
Yeah, like he's most likely to go up there first. Thinking Dunka's spot, I would probably just keep clearing things until I find the Ice Rod. And then if I don't find Quake before heading up there, then I'll go check the mountain again.
Well, just so the one runners.
Yep, just the one cycle. So it looks like our runner is in the same dungeon temporarily here again. Ped has indeed been checked. It is just... was it arrows or piece of heart? I forget.
It was like junk, you know, cash maybe.
Piece of heart, it sounds like, yep. Okay, it looks like daaanty is indeed going to head to Ice Palace now.
Yeah, definitely a good call, Freddy. Ice Palace, you know, you have the Cane of Samaria, you have the ability to full clear it. Why in the world not? And maybe you find an icy item inside of the Ice Palace.
Would not be the first time.
We'll make use of the fiery variety of those rods and going to burn down the our icy friend here in the entrance. daaanty should probably end up doing the icebreaker here. I don't see a reason why you wouldn't unless he weren't feeling comfortable with it, but he's a knowledgeable guy. He should know how to do this.
Yeah, I would guess he does. Looks like Dunka is going to go back to the back first here. But not do Icebreaker or Diver Down. Was not aware that he was not comfortable with that.
Yeah, it's an interesting choice. It could also be a thing where, like, hey, you might know how to do it, but you feel like, it takes too many tries to actually save you time. I mean, it is one of those things where you really do save time mostly from getting in 1 or 2 goes.
Yeah. Meanwhile, daaanty getting the Icebreaker, nice palace here.
Yep, a fun little exploit of a mechanic within the engine. A Link to the Past, when they designed this, they really didn't want Link to ever be in a point where you could be stuck in a doorway, as that probably led to all sorts of weird errors. So the door stayed basically when you're coming in and out of doors from facing certain directions. The game will force you to basically clip through things, and we exploit that by being on a certain pixel thanks to the Cane of Samaria block, and just push our way through the wall.
Yep. Looks like 2 items on right side for daaanty, but he's going to go check Iced Tea. I didn't see if he checked or if he switched the switch at all, so... Oop.
Yeah, he did. He doubled back for that.
Okay. So he doesn't technically need the big key, but... Big key might be there with the last item in big chest, so I think you have to check this anyway.
Yeah, smart choice. Good routing throughout the dungeon since we are still waiting on things. Well, good point about an hour into the seed as we see BigDunka finishing up the Argus fight and making a choice soon. To remind everybody, these two are very fun to watch. Really enjoy the race they've been putting on so far, despite its linearity. And if you want to support them, go ahead and give them a follow on their Twitch channels. We have a link posted in chat, and you can stay tuned and be ready to watch them as they practice or even do their next races. Just a small key in the big chest, so I believe this means we should have an item on Cold Stare, right? Honestly, I'm terrible at counting these. Alrighty, well, we see BigDunka doing the normal left side swamp, so my guess is that that's going to represent a good 20 to 40 seconds, I think, between both diver downs. Saved for daaanty. And an interesting left-facing Cold Stare. Looking like the 20 rupees on Cold Stare are going to be minimal value for daaanty, so also has a choice available to him. Really running out of good dungeons to check. I think this might be the thing that finally pushes him either over to Desert Palace or maybe Turtle Rock. I kind of forgot where we found the flute. Did daaanty pick that up? It would appear not. Big yikes. That could be an important difference between the two. Oh, right. Thanks, chat. Paradox Cave. So, daaanty kind of avoiding these sorts of things right now. I'm kind of curious to see what's going to be the route here. It looks like we might be doing a reverse Smith chain. No. We have the 5-6 crystals, so a big bomb. And one of those somewhat infrequent situations where you do have access to taking the bomb through the castle gate portal, which is kind of convenient. It's been quite a while, but it looks like BigDunka is going to do that Bombos check, just kind of overlapping a thing that we saw out of daaanty earlier. Not the most important thing, but it is a convenient heal. And with that, daaanty, without the flute, looks to be heading to the mountain. So this may be the opportunity to get that flute. Where we also see a Meyer check. I did not actually see the medallion, but pretty good chance we're able to get into there. Either way, though, not on the table or on the docket for just this moment. BigDunka going to do at least check the checkerboard cave. Still trying to find that ice rod. And it is a Quake entry into Misery Mire. Big shout out and thanks to Ake here, our tracker today, keeping us on a straight and narrow. Appreciate that. So we have 2 more items we need actually in order to hit go mode.
Okay, you can probably hear me now.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, my RTX voice decided to crash, so that was fun. That happens on occasion.
But hey, at least you sound great now.
Yeah. I don't know how long ago that was, but it would explain why you were talking over me a bit.
I had a feeling.
Yeah. Anyway, I have no idea when it started, so I'm just gonna pretend like it didn't happen and move on.
That is a feeling I feel like these runners will probably have at some point in this seed. When did I make the wrong choice? When should I have gone to Swamp?
Okay, so it does look like we have Quake entrance for... or Quake required for Myers. So that means Dunka will be heading back up the mountain after... well, Ice Palace or the mountain after this.
Yeah, kind of tough to say what the superior choice is from his perspective. Both feel like, I don't want to have to do one or the other, but both have good opportunity for being the right choice.
Now that Quake is required, I think it's definitely a lot easier to do Ice Palace instead of Turtle Rock and the mountain here, but either choice, yeah.
I mean, maybe it ends up being a thing where you need Quake for both.
Which, considering how late we got the other 2 medallions, that would be fun. There's our Ice Rod, though. So now it is a fully completable Turtle Rock, with very potential to have the Quake medallion in there. In fact, very likely at this point.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like a scenario where you don't avoid Turtle Rock here. I mean, like, even if you want it to be just one straight climb, I mean, obviously you should do Hookshot Cave first, in any circumstance. Or not. daaanty just going to walk right away from it. Oh, he's going to check to see what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to open it and then go do Hookshot Cave.
Yeah, so if we find a Quake in there, that's a pretty healthy information advantage for daaanty.
I think that would probably give him an advantage as well. Because at this point, Dunka really hasn't done much more than him. He's finished Desert, but...
yeah, that may as well be an inconsequential difference for how fast it is to do the back half of it with the equipment loadout we have. I mean, it is a difference.
And there's Quake. First chest in Turtle Rock, so that is officially go mode for daaanty.
Whoa. Call that the catfish check. Basically his own little room, as instead of having to do that way out of the way thing, this happened to be right in our path.
So this will probably come down to whether Dunka checks the other thing first, or whether he checks a Pyramid Fairy before going back up the mountain, which at this point seems fairly likely. Even
Yeah,
with that, he might be ahead, or might be behind anyway.
well, there's only so many other things that could be, non sequiturs for him. You could potentially have a pitfall going into Thieves Town, the back half, if you really felt desperate. I don't think you do that, though. I mean, as you mentioned, there are better checks to do, things that are more in line with the progression.
Yeah.
All further and further into Turtle Rock we go. Truly a go mode scenario for daaanty. And perhaps we'll be able to. I don't. Did we see the big key?
Yes, Big Key was in Chain Chomp.
So I would presume a stolen key here.
Oh yeah, definitely. Just steal the key and go.
And while daaanty is working further and further into Turtle Rock, we'll get to see a cold stare fight out of BigDunka. Interesting thing with daaanty's was the left-facing cold stare fight. I'm curious to see if BigDunka is going to give his right side.
A little bit of a problem there. Okay, we will see what Dunka decides to do here. If you will go ahead and do the Pyramid Fairy, or just go up the mountain.
Yeah, a bit of a moment of truth here, as every time save advantage is going to be important in this relatively linear seed, for these two runners at least. Looking like the Pyramid Fairy.
Yeah, this is definitely a Pyramid Fairy play. It's looking pretty good for daaanty at this point. He does still need to activate the Flute and do Desert. That Dunka's already done, but
He'll at least have the advantage of comboing that with Meyer.
yep.
Maybe this is a little closer than I think. It really does depend on whether or not we go directly to the mountain after this big bomb.
I imagine he would. Alternative is doing Thieves Town and Skull and the other thing. You know, the other thing.
Yeah, Smith Chain.
Smith Chain, that's the other thing.
Things on things on things we don't want to do.
Yeah, and you kind of have to assume that you have Turtle Rock access at this point as well, since you know you don't have Meyer access. So that means, along with Hookshot Cave and Super Bunny, there's a healthy number of checks up there, like a good 12. Actually, 13 counting Spike Cave.
Yeah, so I mean, kind of a much safer bet. BigDunka, making the good choice to check the Pyramid Fairy. After all, if you have the 5-6, that's something that does feel like a bit of a torchlight just pointed right at it. But yeah, so
Indeed.
gonna be on the right route.
The other way Dunka can gain time here, actually no, because he has to get the Ice Rod first. Never mind. Is if I was going to say if he dives straight into Turtle Rock, but that would actually be a time loss because Ice Rod is sitting in Super Bunny.
Yeah, and there's really no way to get to that without losing a portal at that point.
Indeed.
All right, an hour and 13 minutes into the race, a bird activation here for daaanty. Making the use of flute dashes, trying to get that bird to come back as fast as possible. Here, if you spam it, the bird's like, oh, wait, I should have picked you up. But that'll be Misery Meyer as we are winding our way through the remainder of this seed. Despite its somewhat linearity, definitely still a fast race time for both of these two, or at least a fast pace.
Yeah, for some of the shenaniganry that had to happen with the Aga 1 into pod after having access to other things, definitely a fairly fast time overall. I believe we've seen every pendant dungeon too, without the exception of the back of Thieves' Town.
Yeah, so I mean, we've really cleared a whole lot of game world here.
Yep.
No convenient sword beams for daaanty here for Meyer 2, but an admirable clear nonetheless. How gracious of a Meyer will we have today? We do find the half magic in the hookshot cave, which daaanty actually completely avoided.
Wait, did daaanty go into Turtle Rock before doing hookshot? I just realized, like, he doesn't have half magic.
Which for me feels a little bizarre, because I mean, if you're looking for that Quake, did he actually scout out Quake on Meyer? No, he couldn't have.
Well, he has all 3 medallions at that point, so he knows he has the medallion he needs.
No, but I mean, like, he didn't know that he needed Quake for Meyer because he didn't have the flute until his trip up here.
True, but he was probably planning on going over to Hera and Spike Cave afterwards, so running back to Hookshot Cave and then just run back to Turtle Rock is more of a waste of time at that point.
Yeah, just kind of funny how that worked out. You know, you end up abandoning Hookshot Cave.
Yeah, and then since he found Quake, he just abandoned it. Yep.
Alrighty, well, Misery Meyer not giving us our big key very easily. daaanty having to do all the torches. May not even find it on this chest, but will continue through. As BigDunka, really that would be the one way that he could save time over daaanty here, is if he ends up taking a different route in Meyer. Of course, we do still have GT ahead of us, too.
Yep, Meyer and GT routing are really the only potential time saves he can make. That or there was a key and... a small key in the North Room? Okay, yeah, so there was a small key in the North Room. I actually missed that chest, so... if there is a small key in the room above the first set of torches, then it is guaranteed to be a big key in the cutscene chest.
Speaking of big keys, Dunka picking up his from Turtle Rock doesn't have much time saved to work with here, so execution with this much equipment, there's not a whole lot of... I mean, it kind of comes down just to Boots execution at this point, doesn't it?
And GT. I think daaanty probably has too much of an advantage at this point for even just Boots usage and general execution to catch up to it. Also, on top of, I think that their execution is relatively equal.
Yeah, these are two very experienced runners of the game. The only thing I've even seen in terms of a skill or knowledge difference is just the choice from BigDunka not to do the diver down. I'm sure he knows how to do it. So that would be the one kind of time-saving difference in their technique today.
Yeah. The unfortunate of Big Key being on left side made going left side first the much better play in this case. And then the extra trip to the mountain for Light World stuff was the other big advantage for daaanty here.
So good routing does yield a good result so far. We still have Desert, to complete for Daaanty. BigDunka, depending on how well he does Meyer, might be hot in his heels, but I think you're right about this. This is pretty much Dante's race to lose.
Yeah, Daaanty already has the big key, so he just needs to go do desert as well. So he's going to be pretty much done with desert by the time Dunka finishes Turtle Rock here. So he'll be most of Meyer behind Daaanty.
This feels quite a lot like going into the early game dungeon in an RPG when you're like end game level.
Yeah. It's definitely a lot more gear than you're supposed to have for this area.
Daaanty making good use of his equipment too. That hookshot pull over to the key pot there. Kind of a obscure tech, but that does save time over walking, and dashing would be wasteful.
Yeah, that's one of the benefits of having quick swap, as we were talking before. The being able to have the forethought to quickly switch to hookshot and back for some quick little time saves can add up over the course of a run. Also, we have a mirror shield. And in fact, both getting those crystals at the same time, Daaanty getting his 7th, Dunka getting his 6th. And as you can see in chat, we have a fun little game called the Big Key Guessing Game. You pick a number between 1 and 21, 2. I'm out of practice. I forget if it was 1 or 2. I think 22. And whichever the first player that enters GT, whichever chest they find the big key in, you win some points for a running tally. In this case, that will be Daaanty. So whenever Daaanty finds the big key, we'll count that chest.
What do you think, Freddie? Where are we going to find it?
Whenever I commentate, I usually just go with Rando Room as a general. That's where it is.
As reasonable a guess as any. I picked 9 just randomly today, so maybe I'm just following in suit.
Yep, it's usually either DM or, well, it depends on what route people use. I was going to say DM or Rando Room, but if you do the DM route, DM into right side, then it would be the compass chest.
Well, we will cut off those guesses as soon as Dante's entering into the dungeon. I'll let you do that. I think you have a better delay than me right now. And I believe as crew, we kind of have to be the ones to cut it off as well. I was seeing a stream earlier where the tracker was having trouble with that.
What's the command?
The $ stop.
That would be my guess, so...
Here we go into GT. Daaanty, first one in. BigDunka, only a back half of Meyer left behind him.
Yep, we'll see. He'll probably find the same information that Daaanty found and get his big key out of the cutscene chest. So this is, I believe, 7. Or no, you go left first.
I think he went straight left.
I did, so that would be 5 then. So 6 and 7 will be in Hope Room here. Aptly named because you hope the big key is here. And it is. So 6. 6 is the big winner today.
Big money, big winners. Climbing up the tower. Looks like Nuxman was the winner of the game. Congratulations on your imaginary internet points. Feel good about your guessing prowess. Maybe consider, well, actually, I don't recommend you do lottery tickets, but you have better luck than the average person, I guess.
I think so far what I've learned from this run is that I need to commentate my own races more. Because I'm very good at calling chests when I'm commentating, apparently.
It's been one of those days. That was the same thing for my last call, honestly. Just a lot of like, whoa, in the world, how did that exact thing I was asking for show up? So if
Yep.
only we
Yep.
were so lucky.
If only. It just never works that way when you're actually doing runs, only when you're talking about it.
You know, maybe that's the
Oh
difference, though. We
no.
like to internalize our monologues, and if we just externalize them,
The game knows.
you
Never
must
mind
ask
that's
the
like,
rando gods.
never mind that it's like a 10-minute delay, but semantics.
Skiing into the past. Just gonna consult my moon pearl.
You consult your moon pearl. I'm going to consult my mirror. That was obviously sitting on the pyramid the entire time.
Yeah, it makes sense. Both mystical items, that's for sure. I always kind of wonder why the old man has that mirror in the vanilla game. It's kind of a strange, powerful item.
Yeah, it's true. Daaanty making mostly quick work of the climb here, I say, as he misses the entirety of his silver shots there.
Yeah, something of a disastrous first cycle.
Ooh, and only getting slightly better. There we
Hey,
go.
50% improvement is improvement.
It's true. Buttersword makes quick work of them too, as well, though. Only 2 swipes.
And we get simultaneous boss kills. BigDunka with quite a lot of work ahead of him to try and catch up. Although we did have the Hope Room big key, right? Or no, that was the left.
Did it have the Hope Room big key?
Yeah, it was Hope Room.
Nope, it was Hope Room. Yep.
So there is a chance.
I don't know if there's another key. Yeah. Duncan can
guess
gain
you-
some time, but he is behind. Sorry.
You have to go left after you get that big key to get a small key. But I mean, yeah, there's still a little bit of opportunity to catch up a little bit of time. But being so close to the top of the tower here, Daaanty in a commanding position.
Yeah, at this point, Daaanty would have to probably have multiple falls to Ganon. And with Buttersword and Silvers, that's very unlikely.
Well, presuming that this works out the way it's started, this would represent a continue of the win streak for the 2019 Titans Myths of 2019, remaining one of 2 undefeated teams in the Invitational League. An impressive position to be in. Moldorm 2 eradicated.
And it's actually one of only 2 teams undefeated in the entire league, not just the Invitational. They're the only undefeated team in the Invitational side. And in the Open League side, there is the Fandana Drifters with a 5-0 record right now, so they would be matching them in that pace.
Or I guess you mean the Dark World Conference and this being the Light World Conference?
Yes, the Dark and Light World Conference.
I don't know, there are a ton of teams, a ton of divisions, and conferences aplenty. The naming structure, which is pretty awesome, actually, now that I think about it. Because we do have unique Hyrulean and Dark Worldian names for, like, everything. It's pretty awesome.
Indeed. Okay, so Dunka also avoiding getting that in the first check. Will be number 2. Okay, so Daaanty with a solid Aga 2 fight. And dropping down into Ganon himself.
Yeah, I don't know how you feel when you find a Hope Room Big Key. You know, because you kind of, in my opinion, you kind of keep an eye out for the Racetime GG channel. Because, you know, that's the kind of situation where you'd be like, okay, they're going to dot done quick. I think an early big key makes me feel more nervous than a late one. Well, daaanty has the best possible equipment to work with here, short of maybe more hearts, which we definitely don't need. Although a Ganon Hug could be perilous, BigDunka did have the opportunity to get red mail. All things working smoothly so far, though. Just needs 4 arrows to, seal the deal.
And there's the 4th arrow. Get your GGs in chats for daaanty, folks. With that, he finishes with the official racetime.gg time of 1:29:02. And that brings the Titans Mitts of the 2019 Titans Mitts of 2019 to a perfect 5-0 record in the Kakariko division in the Light World Conference. They will pull a 1-game lead ahead of Pug Trio, and now a 2-game lead ahead of Air 216, who will retain their 3rd place position for now. And I do believe we have daaanty in here for interview. GG's, daaanty.
GG's.
GG.
How are you feeling about that seed?
This seed kind of sucks because it's just follow breadcrumbs. Dunka and I were kind of chatting about it as we were, waiting for the delay to catch up. And it's like, it was 50 minutes of here's breadcrumb trails. And then, good luck getting your last 2 items when the world finally opens up. And I mean, yeah, I'll take the win, obviously, and it feels great. But at the same time, it's just like, so I guess I used up more luck. But, by making the swamp call before the mountain call. Because the mountain had a ton of items. And I was talking to Dunka. Apparently, that's what he did when I went to swamp. And I think that was probably the difference maker. Because I didn't execute the beginning very well. And knowing how good of a runner Dunka is, I just kind of assumed I was behind a little bit.
Yeah, indeed, that's pretty much exactly accurate as to what was happening. He had a little bit of a lead coming out of Pod and Eastern, since he made the extra call of going to Sasrala before going to Aga Tower, so he had the Moon Pearl going in, and ended up doing the south route over to Dig Game into getting the bow before heading to Pod and Eastern and doing that in one trip. And that ended up being slightly more efficient of a route. But maybe that's primarily because of the Bombos medallion check that you made. But definitely the big divergence was him going up the mountain versus you going into Swamp after the North Dark World route.
Yeah, before Skull Woods, honestly, I was debating on jumping back into Swamp because I've seen quite a few casual boot seeds recently where, and I think even a couple in the league like this week where a glove shows up in Swamp, and I was kind of like, I bet something's there. When you don't get a glove for this long, it's probably in some really dumb place. And I almost bailed out of Skull Woods, and that's kind of why I did front to back, which was a bad idea in hindsight. But then once I, had to go back to the front to get the second item, I was like, I guess we'll do Thieves Town for like front 4, and luckily there was a glove there too, and I was like, okay, well that makes getting to Swamp faster, let's go do that.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, that would make sense then why you ended up doing the front to back, because yeah, Duncan did the back to front, and he'd actually already checked pedestal at that point. He checked it after getting the bow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was definitely a letdown for the audience. For how reasonably accessible those pennants really were, sans that glove. Kind of a tense situation walking up to it, and then ended up being nothing.
Yeah, for sure. Seeing that pendant layout, and then, I was kind of thinking, all right, there might be something behind green pendant, just given the situation right now, so I might as well do this. And then that was nothing, so I was like, maybe he does this too, and I don't really bleed too much time doing this. And then, checking ped, obviously, at that point, was kind of a thing of, like, pulling me over to do Skull Woods before Swamp. But Yeah, that was like a super tough decision at that point. It's like, pick a bad play and figure out which one's going to work.
Yeah, turns out the answer was both of them, actually.
Yeah, I guess so.
And if that's not randomizer, what is?
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. Indeed, yeah. Yeah, the only real thing that was up on the Light World version of the mountain for Dunka was the flute, which ended up not opening anything up, so he made his way to the mitts eventually, or sooner rather than later. But yeah, like you said, it was kind of a choice of having to go back up the mountain versus Meyer Ice Palace. Or I guess not Meyer once he saw the quake, but anyway, with that, Dunka is also finished with a time of 1:33.48.
Big GG to Big Dunka. I believe, based on the race time room, he's not going to have the time to join us for an interview. Is that correct?
Yeah, he said he had to step away for a bit, and he just told me to let you guys know. But you guys are in there, so you could probably see it.
Yep.
He's got a whole ladder to figure out too.
Yeah, I guess so. Big shout outs to Dunka for getting the ladder, because that's really breathed a whole lot of new life into the racing community, because I guess group races are fun, but 1v1 is really where it's at. That's like why people play the league. Even though it's team based, it's still 1v1 races most of the time, and that the 1v1 aspect is kind of I guess what breathes like good life into the community. So it's pretty awesome.
Well, it's interesting that you say these nice things about Big Dunka. Late breaking news, finding out from Big Dunka, apparently in a message, that he wanted to tell the audience that you smell.
I am not surprised.
I'm shocked at this bad form. No, but a lot of playful banter going on in the community. That you're absolutely right. The competitive spirit really revived and rejuvenated from both of these formats, to be honest with you. Ladder, of course, bringing back that 1v1, to the fore, and then this league really kind of incentivizing a more team-based format. We really haven't seen anything truly like that outside of the league. I mean, we do have some co-op tournaments that happen, but this is kind of a nice way to, play to a lot of different players' strengths and weaknesses. And it's been really exciting to be a part of. Really glad that we had an opportunity to do your restream today as well, because we just get to highlight as many people as possible, get to see fun matchups. This was definitely a high profile one.
Yeah, this was it's always fun to race, but I really appreciate all the volunteers and Speed Gaming, obviously, for putting on these restreams and like giving everybody a nice convenient place to watch everything, because multi-streams work, but sometimes they're a pain and all that. So a big shout out to them, and shout outs to you guys for doing the commentating and the tracking. It'll be a good one to watch back. I gotta say, I'm really shocked that, in a way, for our team, that we're still undefeated. The dream is still going, I guess, but we're kind of, we entered the Invitational League as probably not the favorite of our division by anybody, including ourselves, and we're doing pretty good. I figured this week would be the first 0-2 week of several, but we scrapped a win out here, and hopefully Edium can get the job done later this week for us as well. We'll have to wait and see how that goes.
So I had a question I wanted to ask you. Looking at the schedule, because for when we're signing up for this crew, we can see some notes that are placed by the people submitting the matches. Apparently, you've written something along the lines of Dunka told you to prepare for Doom, and then there was a Doom 2 reference about randomly generated maps, and I was interested by this. Are you by any chance a Doom map maker using slot?
No. I'm one of those people who am really bad at old Doom games. I do enjoy them, and I enjoy the modern ones as well, but I just I like watching the YouTube videos of people speedrunning those and some of the crazy maps people make. So when he said prepare for Doom, I was like, man, I'd love to play Doom. That'd be kind of fun.
As an interesting aside, there actually is a Doom randomizer. You can randomize enemy values, and they have like different colors too. It's really cool.
Oh, so it's Randomizer all the time. Sounds something I would really like.
Hey, I mean, if you get bored of the combat, and we do have an Randomizer in this game, so for those of you who are fans out there of Randomizer, that might be up your alley. I just thought that was kind of funny. You noticed, another Randomizer reference, and wasn't sure if you were aware of that one.
I mean, I figured it existed. I mean, at this point, a randomizer exists for almost everything, I think. But yeah, again, thank you guys, because I'm gonna have to head out myself here in a second. Thank you guys again for volunteering and all that, and big GGs to Dunka as well.
Our pleasure to have
Yeah.
you. Thanks for joining us.
Indeed. Thank you. GG's.
Alrighty, so we have one more match on the schedule today as far as the Invitational League goes. That's 9:10 p.m., so just about an hour from now, a little bit less than that, on Speed Gaming Prime between Sir Linkalot and Sinak. Op Got Good, who are currently winless, and the Bomb Squad at 6 points, so that's 2 wins for them. That'll be our remaining match on the docket for the Invitational League. The Open League, I believe, has a 10 p.m. match coming up. I'll check that here in just a moment. Actually, I think they just had one start as well. Yeah, so the ALTTPR League channel has From's Time versus We Need a Mentor, So versus Fred, aka Durf, and then 840 actually ALTTPR League 2 with Kazen of Please Clap versus DJ Darkwing D of Skewed by 6 Cubed. Probably my favorite name in all of the team names, because that's like 216. And my own team actually at 10:10 p.m. Karma versus Verts, Dark Side of the Triforce versus Grouchy Old Men.
Nice. Okay. Thank you once again for commentating with me today, Udai. I know you kind of lost a little bit of sleep coming for this, but we appreciate it as always.
Good fortune waking up on time. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah.
For it.
Of course, it was good times. Thank you once again to our tracker, Iker. You did a wonderful job for us today, and we appreciate everything that him as well as our speed gaming mods do for us, and give us this opportunity to commentate for y'all. Go ahead and take us out, Udai.
Absolutely. Not a whole lot. I want to echo the same sentiments. Thank you, everybody. Rather than drone this on, I guess we do have to get the last of the credits displayed. But if you're interested in trying to volunteer for all this stuff, we do expect for commentary to have some experience in the Invitational League. But you can get that experience through the Open League's restreams. We're also looking for more restreamers as well. No word necessarily on how the whole getting you ready to do that sort of thing is going. That may take a little bit more time, but more coverage is more randomizer for people to watch, and of course we're always looking for more commentators as well. So go ahead and take a look over at the ALTTPR League Discord if you're interested in that. And a good final reminder to follow both of these runners today, daaanty and BigDunka, both figureheads in the community, admins in their own rights of various competitive scenes, and definitely people to watch if you want to either find out more about the game through say maybe Go Mode podcast, or BigDunka kind of being at the forefront of the 1v1 scene. So between the 144 and 152 collection rates, that's about it for us today. I've been Udai Mystic, joined today by Freddy. Folks, stay tuned for the other matches and have a wonderful night.
Night, everyone.